Everyone needs time alone, and peaceful solitude can be a powerful way to relieve stress. But being forced into isolation is an entirely different story. When solitude is imposed, the effects on the human mind and body can be devastating. At first, stress hormones rise. The isolation continues. That stress becomes chronic, chipping away at emotional stability. Without meaningful interaction, people lose what researchers call social reality testing, the ability to check whether their perceptions are rational. As the days turn into weeks or months, thoughts intensify, impulses take over, and depression, obsessions, suicidal thoughts, even hallucinations can emerge. The brain itself begins to change. The limbic system, which regulates fear, and stress, grows hyperactive, while the prefrontal cortex, the seat of reasoning and judgment, actually shrinks. Rational thought gives way to raw emotion, leaving people more prone to anxiety, anger, and irrational behavior. Isolation doesn't just attack the mind, it affects the body too. People may lose their sense of time, struggle to sleep, feel palpitations, headaches, dizziness, or even digestive problems from stress. They may lose weight from lack of appetite. Some try to cope by building strict routines, exercising, reading, writing, but there are limits to what the human spirit can endure. That is why the United Nations and many human rights groups classify long-term solitary confinement as a form of torture. Yet it's a reality for tens of thousands of prisoners worldwide. In the United States, solitary confinement is widespread. In 2019, more than 120,000 inmates spent 22 to 24 hours a day locked alone in tiny cells, often without windows. The practice has roots in the late 18th century, when Quakers introduced it as an alternative to corporal punishment, believing solitude could inspire reflection and penitence. In fact, that's where the word penitentiary comes from. But critics quickly denounced the practice. Even Charles Dickens called solitary confinement worse than any physical torture. Despite the criticism, solitary confinement expanded dramatically in the 1980s as prison populations exploded. Authorities turned to it as a tool of control, not just for violent uprisings, but for minor infractions, sometimes as small as talking back to a guard. The damage is profound. Many prisoners placed in solitary already struggle with mental illness, and isolation only worsens their conditions. Even after release, the effects linger. Former inmates are 3 times more likely to show symptoms of PTSD. They report personality changes, constant anxiety, paranoia in everyday situations, and difficulties concentrating or connecting with others. Some states have tried to limit solitary confinement, banning it for children, pregnant women, or the severely mentally ill, or capping it at 15 to 20 days. But enforcement is inconsistent and loopholes remain. Meanwhile, evidence shows solitary does not reduce violence inside prisons. Instead, it undermines rehabilitation, making reintegration harder once prisoners return to society. Other countries offer a different path. Norway, for example, incarcerates far fewer people per capita, but invests 5 times more per inmate in housing, education, and work release programs. Their results, some of the lowest recidivism rates in the world. The message is clear. People don't improve in isolation. They improve in community. Solitary confinement may be legal, but its effects are lasting, destructive, and many argue inhuman.